I'm Lauren, this is Corpse Free Kitchen, and I have a list of more reasons why you should go vegan. This video did pretty well last time, so I figured, why not? I'll do some more. For starters, defy capitalism. That was cringe. Defy capitalism. Egg prices skyrocketing? Who cares? Doesn't affect me. Meat prices soaring through the roof? Don't care, unaffected, unbothered. Dry beans, dehydrated soy products, and making your own like oat or almond or whatever kind of milk at home. Oat's my favorite. There's some very cost-effective ways to combat the rising grocery store prices. Now, obviously, I know that going vegan won't completely grant you immunity from the dumpster fire that is the US economic system, but it helps. And truthfully for me, it's nice that not every realm of my life is affected by this inflation nonsense. A second pretty awesome thing is that annoying coworkers and family members will now avoid you at social gatherings. It's really nice. You know those people that sometimes it just feels like you get the vibe that they feel obligated to talk to you and you just really don't want to speak to them? Yeah, now they tend to avoid you because like, what do you have to talk about? It's pretty cool. They all think you're weird and it's quite lovely actually. I love it when people think I'm weird. Also a legit one that affects everyone, going plant-based especially boosts your immune system. I could sit here and regurgitate a bunch of scientific mumbo jumbo, but it boils down to this. Plants are more nutrient dense than animal products, meaning that the nutrients that our bodies need, there are more of those found in plants than animal products. And especially considering that a lot of animal products are like extra processed when you compare them to just plants. So whenever things are processed, often the good nutrients are stripped from them. But anyways, that part wasn't even in my script. That's just kind of a thing. Vitamins and minerals and all these things are what combat disease and combat illness and keep us healthy. And essentially, when we have more of those and less animal products, those things keep us healthy because we have more of the things that are nutrient dense and less of the things that are not nutrient dense. So it's as simple as more plants equals less animals equals more nutrients equals better immunity, basically. Personal anecdote, I haven't been sick in years. Now, obviously, I know that autoimmune diseases exist and there are more things that affect our immune system than diet, but just generally speaking, going plant-based and getting more nutrients from a plant-based diet can help boost your immunity and will help boost your immunity. Going vegan is rebellious. It's against the grain and it forces you to think about all of the ways that the people around you and just the people that kind of tell you how to live your life, it makes you think about all the ways that they might be like suckling from the teat of life, when if you like look around and look behind you, there's a full stream. Like there's a stream of water back there I can drink from. I don't have to suckle from that teat. I guess if you consider a cow, like that's kind of an innuendo in that form, but never mind. Now, chances are, if you were like me, you were one of those kids that said, but why about everything? And if so, veganism is for you. Next thing, carbs. Oh, I love carbs. Many of our protein sources, ours being plant-based and vegan people, many of our protein sources are also good sources of carbs. And if we cut out carbs as they do in like ketogenic diets and stuff like that, we'd starve to death. I'm just kidding. That's a very bold claim and it is also a joke. There are vegan keto people out there. I don't know how or why you do it, but they exist and no shade to them, no shame in what they do. I don't get it, but I also don't understand why people still eat meat. So that's just personal preference. Anyways, carbs. We eat lots of carbs. Carbs are great. Carbs are in fruit, carbs are in bread, carbs are in pasta, carbs are in beans, carbs are in almost everything. Carbs are great, and we eat a lot of them. They make me happy. There's going to be a lot to this next point, so if I'm like looking at my phone and stuff, just don't mind me. It's like literally this long. Oh yeah, there's a statistic in this one that is like one of the reasons why I went vegan, so buckle up. First point on this whole little thing, soy. It's not bad for you. It won't make you grow appendages. It won't make you grow chesticles. I promise you. Mine came from McDonald's chicken nuggets and good genetics. Thanks, Mom. Cows in factory farming situations eat a lot of grains, soy, and corn. Cows are a lot bigger than humans, so they require a lot more food. Oh, And it's the same food that we eat. My point of this is a plant-based diet requires only about a third of the food that cows eat, even though we eat the same things. And I know there are people that are like, don't you feel bad for eating the cow's food? If you aren't eating the cows, they wouldn't have to eat. They just wouldn't exist. Not saying they deserve to die, but they just wouldn't exist. How do we get from the point of a plant-based / vegan diet requiring only a third of the amount of land that a standard meat and dairy diet? A, the animals. For the animals to exist, they have to live on land somewhere. B, they eat the same thing that vegans eat. There are also non-vegans that eat the same food, but all that to say, they require a lot more of that than we do. So we have to have land to make the grains that instead of going to people, they go to the animals that then go to the people, but are a lot less food than if that food that fed those animals just went straight to people. 60% of the world's grains are fed to factory farmed cows. 16 pounds of grains are, let me double check this, a third of a cow's daily caloric intake, and those same 16 pounds of grains could feed about 10 people. So I'm gonna read this part too. 10% of the world's population goes to bed hungry each night. Sure, we could talk about the starving children in Africa all we want when we're trying to guilt our kids into eating the rest of the food on their plate, but we could also think about the people that are in our neighborhood and homeless on our streets in our towns. They are also going to bed hungry every night. The single mothers on food stamps that are potentially in inner cities or literally just in your hometown next door to you that can barely afford to feed her children. We could also think about the people that like WIC and food stamps and everything feeds, right? Like those are people in our town. And regardless of your view on politics or your view on the way that our tax money pays for these people to eat, regardless of your stance on that, the point is there are always going to be people benefiting from these systems that truly, genuinely need it. Regardless of if people are taking advantage of those systems, we still want the people that need it to get it, right? Isn't that kind of the core of being a decent human being? All of that to say, my point here is that theoretically, we could feed those people in our hometowns that can't afford to eat dinner every night if we didn't supply factory cows. Let me paint a picture. I hope this makes more sense. Factory cows exist. Factory cows have to eat. The same food that they eat, people also eat. But the cows eat a lot less of the food than the people do. So theoretically, if those cows weren't eating that food, it could go to all of the people that don't get to go to bed with a full belly every night. Theoretically, I know there is a lot more to it than that, but whenever I realized that and whenever that kind of like clicked in my head, I was like, I don't want to eat animals anymore. That feels so selfish, I'm not doing it. Or even if we just minimized our consumption of animal products and we ate meat less, or if you reconsider where you get it from, if you get it from like local farmers only or whatever, there are ways to not support factory farming. And I think any changes you can make are good changes to make. Piggybacking off of the last point is that factory farming uses 20% of the world's drinkable water. And you guys know that we need water more than we need meat to survive, right? Now that I've offended everybody, I'm going to bring up a point about dairy. You know, when you're like eating ice cream or you eat cheese dip or something and you get that really gross, like phlegmy feeling in your throat, you don't get that when you don't eat dairy. There's contradicting science or lack thereof about like what that is from or if it's even due to dairy, but it happened to me and now it doesn't happen anymore because I haven't had dairy in 5 years. We're getting heavy for one more of these and then everything else is going to be a bit lighter just to kind of top it all off. Global warming. It's a thing and it's scary and it's happening. It's going to continue to cause a lot of damage to the earth. Droughts, wildfires, mass extinctions, floods, all of these things simultaneously. And let's not forget that these things affect humans too. And I'm gonna be totally real with you. I didn't want to research a whole lot on this We all know it's a thing, like it's no secret, and you don't have to have a PhD in like global sciences or whatever to be able to talk about this. Or like you don't even have to have a PhD in meteorology, if that's even a thing. But truthfully, I didn't want to research a whole lot about this because it kind of leads to feelings of helplessness, and I really struggle with that. My mental health struggles when I feel helpless. Shocker. That being said, I've seen tons of research showing the correlation between like decreasing effects of global warming and a plant-based diet. Tons and tons and tons of correlations. For example, greenhouse gases are one of the huge causes of global warming, and greenhouse gases are largely caused by animal agriculture. When you don't participate in animal agriculture, there's less of a demand for animal agriculture. Mouthful. Whenever there is less demand, there is less supply. Economics 101. Whenever we don't use animals for food, or if we do it significantly less, those greenhouse gases don't exist. And these things that severely harm our planet are minimized. And then the planet lasts longer. So if I decide to have children, my grandkids will survive. I also found a quote that was really applicable to this. I don't know where it came from. I just kind of saw it on Pinterest. It says, "How silly we are to destroy our planet to produce foods that are killing us." So due to the omission of eating a lot of inflammatory foods, like dairy is something that's an inflammatory food, and I don't remember. I really haven't looked it up in a long time, but I eat a lot more anti-inflammatory foods these days and a lot less inflammatory foods. Therefore, my period cramps aren't as bad as they were before I went vegan. Pretty stinking cool. Another fun little tidbit. Once you get past the initial getting used to your increase in fiber, if you catch my drift, and the initial like gassy issues and things like that, you become a lot more regular. Your movements are smooth sailing and a lot more predictable. For me, unless I'm traveling, they happen like clockwork. Pretty nice. Finally, my last and perhaps my favorite reason. There are so many reasons to go vegan that it's hard to justify not doing it. I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And if you haven't seen my other one, go check it out as well. I'll link it somewhere on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Goodbye.